our undergraduates have all been recognized, we will introduce our graduate speaker and proceed with the recognition of our graduate students. The student speakers. A student speaker is selected by the undergraduate and graduate programs to represent the graduating class of that program. They take the responsibility most seriously, seeking students who are excellent in the classroom and leaders among their peers. This year we will have a speaker from the undergraduate program in Organization on Community Leadership, the Masters of Public Administration, and a dissertation award winner from the PhD in Disaster Science and Management. Our first speaker is Karli Kovner. Karli is graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree in Organization and Community Leadership and a minor in Social Entrepreneurship. Karli has a strong and innovative advocate for improving mental health awareness and resources at the University of Delaware, believing that everyone on campus experiencing any kind of mental distress should have a friend to turn to. This spring, Karli won the Most Innovative Award in UD's First Step, Ideas for a Healthier World competition for her clothing design. Nerves swept. Swervy?
Nerve swerve.
Swerve? A sweater constructed to reduce anxiety and stress. Additionally, Karli is the recipient of the Leadership Innovation Award for demonstrated creative approaches to enhance leadership capacity in oneself and others. So without further delay, let me turn it over to Karli.
Okay. Hi everyone. So for those who don't know me, my name is Karli Kovner, and for those who do know me, you're probably just as shocked as I am that I was chosen to stand here today. Kids these days would call this a glow up. But in all seriousness, I'm very honored to be here talking with you today. And first, I'd like to thank Dr. Stein for not only being my advisor for the last 4 years, but for also seeing my potential when I was struggling to find it within myself. And to my fellow classmates, congratulations on your accomplishment. We did it. And you're probably expecting me to talk to you for 5 minutes about how we're all going to change the world, but you already know that you are, and you don't need me to tell you that. Today, I want to talk to you about the human struggle. The definition of the human struggle has been philosophically debated throughout time, but I think the definition is personal to each of us. Take me, for example. I am a human roller coaster. Over the last few years, I've lost so much of myself, and I've gained so much of myself. I've lost battles with anxiety and doubted my own self-worth, but I've gained much more through my experiences and the people I've met. The struggle has been, how do I take the experiences from my past and translate it into motivation to do well for the future? Now that I'm at the end of my journey at UD, I've written myself a story. My story at the University of Delaware has a beginning, a middle, and an end that is to be continued. I'm not afraid to say that my story hasn't been all rainbows and butterflies. There have been points of feeling low, points where success seemed impossible, and points where I felt like I needed a helping hand. When I first got here, I have to say I felt like I was thriving. I was making great friends and I had wonderful professors, and I was under the impression that I'd be super involved on campus just like I was in high school. But that just didn't seem to happen for me. Because of this, I gradually kept losing more and more of myself. I didn't want to be involved because I was intimidated by all the fearless leaders around me, and thought to myself that you'd never be able to compare. Maybe this story relates to some of you, as I'm sure it isn't that abnormal. But I think that the reason I'm standing here today is because of my story, and what I've made of myself has taught me so many lessons, and it wouldn't be fair just to keep them to myself. We as people go through so many ups and downs, especially right now, when we're supposed to be finding ourselves, proving ourselves, and figuring out how to love ourselves. There are so many versions of me out there that I'm still putting together the puzzle pieces to create one person. As I apply to jobs, I feel like I'm trying to prove myself to people who do not know me, and loving myself always seems to be the hardest part. We want the best. We want the highest GPA, and we want the highest salary, something I think is part of the human condition. But there's one unexpected thing that I've learned. It's about people, the power of people, and that we cannot go through life alone, no matter how much we think we want to. I think the best way to fight the human struggle is to come together. As I mentioned before, there are countless points in my last 4 years when I just needed a helping hand. I want people to notice when something was wrong, to check in. I needed validation that I could be successful, and I needed someone to help me get back on my feet and be productive. As someone who values company and teamwork, I had a hard time seeing other people who were focused solely on themselves, trying to let everyone else know that they have it together. And maybe some of us really do have it together. But I think that we have a tendency to get so lost thinking about ourselves that we forget to enjoy the company of others until we need it the most. Our generation can change that. Our generation can be the generation of empathy and compassion. We can be the generation that understands everyone has their own stories to write, but that doesn't mean you're not an important character in someone else's. Often, I hear those in older generations say how we are so entitled, addicted to social media, and expect everything to be handed to us. But if that was true, why is there an epidemic of us feeling like we're never enough? Mental health is a larger issue than ever. And it's not from being babied, it's from the pressure that we're supposed to know how to do everything or work towards goals that are so much more difficult to obtain than those before us. But instead we have to build each other up, and we have to do this. Doing well as an individual means nothing if those that you love aren't thriving themselves. So where am I today, and what is that glow up that I keep talking about? Many of you already know I'm very much involved in the field of mental health on campus. How did someone who had such a hard time going above and beyond do this? Simple. It's because I finally found what I needed. This cause is personal, and these people wanted to get to know me. They wanted to know my story. They wanted everyone else on campus to know that they aren't alone. With these people, I can not only help myself, but help others. Since we understand each other on such a deep level, we're able to work together and create a real positive impact. A lesson in this is that you can't always wait for others to help you. Sometimes you have to reach out yourself. And once you do that, you become a driving force for change as a team. Even when I was struggling, my most important class ever, yes, Capstone, which is the Senior Organizational Community Leadership class, where we planned an entire leadership conference for middle schoolers and high schoolers in the state of Delaware. I reached out to people in my class to explain why I honestly didn't think I was being a great team member. I was at a point in my life when I was drowning in indifference, a lack of motivation, and couldn't really determine what mattered and what didn't. But once they understood, I no longer had to be afraid to go to class because I was so scared of disappointing people. And I knew it wasn't a secret anymore. And people had my back. They encouraged me, and they let me grow on my own terms. What if everyone could be open and honest with how they're feeling? You never know who will step up and be there for you, and even relate to you. I actually found out that I wasn't the only one struggling. But as much as I don't wish these feelings upon anyone else, it's comforting to know that I'm not alone. So here's what I'm asking of you all today. I want you to start checking in on your friends, realize that working together has so many more benefits than working alone, and that it is okay to ask for help. Asking for help is really, really hard for some people, and it's easy to ignore the fact that you know that somebody needs it. I cannot emphasize enough that you never know what others around you are going through. Displaying empathy and genuine concern for one another can change a person's life. Yes, the world needs a lot of changing, but there are little things you can do in your relationships and everyday life that will change the world of one person. We are so focused on the bigger pictures, but I'm asking you today to actually think smaller. Please do not underestimate the power of your story. Share your story, value your friendships, work together, and make sure to remind those in your life that they are loved. Thank you.